Good evening from Hart House and South Dining Hall. We just had the opportunity to listen to an amazing lecture by Rhys Rustad-Elliott, UofT student at computer science. He's not a chess player himself, but he has developed an amazing chess engine called Shallow Blue, which he has been using consistently against us to defeat us sometimes to lose. Before that, before his lecture on AI in chess, we watched a very nice documentary on a match between a Go program, AI, defeating the 18 times world champion in Go. And before asking anything else, I would like to ask you, Rhys, what's your reflection on the documentary we just watched?
I thought it was exceptionally well made. It was a very interesting glimpse into how Alphago was made. I mean, Alphago is really an incredible piece of work. For years, Go had been considered just an insurmountable problem in artificial intelligence, and the team at DeepMind managed to overcome that hurdle, and I thought it was fascinating.
Yes, indeed. Like AI is incredible. We see incredible developments in AI. During the presentation, however, at some point you mentioned that there might be dangers too. Is it something like the Frankenstein that you have in mind? Like as soon as you create the monster, it develops its independent action?
Yeah. So we're not there yet. This was mentioned in the documentary. There have been some calls for groups that would regulate AI development and research because it could potentially, in the future, have a destructive impact on humanity. It's something I think we should certainly take into consideration. It's something we should be concerned about. At the same time, there are this is extremely exciting. This is an incredibly exciting field. There are tons and tons and tons of potential applications of AI technology, and I think we should be excited about those at the same time.
Awesome. I mean, as a person who has developed a chess program, this is not your first talk. You've been to other audiences. You've addressed people in computer science conferences. This time you get a very, very different audience. This time it's chess players and a few Go players, perhaps. What difference did it make to you? What were the challenges, and what were the points where you became enthusiastic about this presentation?
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting. I gave this talk. I didn't give several talks in the past. I gave one talk in the past to a more technically inclined audience, I suppose you could say. I described how a chess engine works at more of a code and a technical level. In this talk, I focused a lot more on how a chess engine works at a very high level and described it more so in terms that a non-computer scientist could understand. So it was interesting putting the talk together. I pulled some stuff out from my previous more technical talk, but couldn't pull everything out because a lot of it was quite technical and it wasn't really material suited to a non-computer scientist or software engineer.
Well, I can assure you that what you spoke to us about was really exciting, and we followed every word you said.
Thank you.
Another question that I have, however, is, since you're not a chess player, how did you decide to get into developing chess programs, and what is this thing that keeps you going? Because you come back to the chess club, you test your engine, you try to improve it, you make it stronger, and you're still there. So is there something exciting about it? What is it that captured your interest?
I mean, I just happen to find it a lot of fun. It's really, really fun. I originally got into it when I was looking for projects to complete over the summer. I can't remember the exact thing I read, but there was an article somewhere about chess engines. I thought, oh, hey, is that doable? Could I build one of those? Looked it up and realized, yeah, I have a couple months in the summer. This is something I can probably do in a couple months. I set out from the beginning to try and build something that could beat me. I'm not really that great a chess player, so it wasn't that huge a hurdle to overcome, but it was about 2 months of work. And when I did get it to the point where it could beat me, it was just really a great sense of achievement. I mean, I'd built something that was better than I was, and I thought that was really cool. And it's in general is really cool, and the coolness of it, I suppose, is what keeps me going.
Well, definitely, I think there's a sense of accomplishment when you create something that is better than you. So, do you think that you are going to take this engine to participate into chess computer tournaments, perhaps? Have you ever considered it?
Yeah, so there are computer chess tournaments that happen. They are, generally speaking, the tournaments that happen are for very highly ranked engines like Stockfish. There are tournaments for other engines, I'm sure. It's something I've considered, but until now I haven't done yet. There are quite a few more improvements I'd like to make to Shallow Blue. It seems like each day there are more and more improvements I'd like to make, and I'd like to implement quite a bit more stuff before I submit it to any tournament. And
one last question. During the presentation, we talked about how AlphaZero had a recent match against Stockfish, and Stockfish, the term you used was slaughtered, and indeed this is how we would describe a 25-0 defeat. It's a very big margin. So with respect to chess in particular, to the area of chess, do you think that the winner in the contest between AI and brute force engines has been decided, like once and for all?
Google's test data would seem to suggest that the tests that Google did where they put AlphaZero up against Stockfish have been criticized. There are certain areas that have been criticized, namely there were non-standard time controls used, so Stockfish couldn't take advantage of its very good time control mechanisms. The version of Stockfish used was not the latest version, and the number of threads that Stockfish was using to search was way more than it had ever undergone any sort of significant testing with. With those things in mind, however, it's still quite an achievement. I don't know if you could say definitively, yes, something like AlphaZero would always defeat something like Stockfish. I mean, we just have one paper so far, but it seems like that may be the case.
I know I promised that the previous one would be my last question, but I can't help but ask one last question. This time, last question. You raised a very, very interesting and stimulating question during your presentation. It was not your question. It's an issue that was raised several years ago, and the question is, can engines be creative? How do you answer this all-time question?
Yeah, so what I was referring to was a quote by Ada Lovelace, who was an aristocratic British woman, where it's commonly referred to as Lady Lovelace's objection. She stated that she believed she believed machines rather than computers were incapable of original thinking. I suppose it's somewhat subjective, but looking at the results from AlphaZero and Alphago, where AlphaZero at least trained itself to play chess exceptionally well, it seems like that may be wrong. Again, it's subjective, but it seems like that might be the case.
Well, thank you very much for this interview. Thank you very much for being here, accepting our invitation. We hope to see you back with a stronger engine.
Hopefully.
Keep making it stronger, keep making it a beast, and we'll always be here as Hart House Chess Club to play with it, and hopefully have another presentation in 1 year from now where you're going to talk to us about how you defeated your first Grandmaster using the engine.
Maybe.
Yeah, let's hope. So this is Panayotis Sialas for Hart House Chess Club. Thank you very much for watching.